Thank you for watching us on YouTube. But did you know that if you're on the go, you can get the full show as a podcast now? You can get our morning breakdown of the most important topics facing our country, news not being covered by the mainstream media, interviews with change-making progressives, and info on what you can actually do about all this. Search for The Damage Report on your favorite podcast app and subscribe so you know when new episodes are ready to go. And we are now joined for, I believe, the first time ever on The Damage Report by Rick Strom of TYD Sports.
That's right. That's right. That's right, representing right here. Hello, everyone. This is my last appearance as well. How are you, John?
After that, I guarantee it. So I've been on the internet, and the internet seems to want me to be mad at Serena Williams.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, that's a heavy question. The long and short is she was penalized for something that literally every single athlete has done in the sport of tennis. And she was penalized because she received improper coaching. Newsflash to everyone who's maybe watching this show and hasn't watched tennis. Everyone does it. It's like breathing air at this point. So she received improper coaching, received a violation. Excuse me. On top of that, she then got into a dispute with the chair umpire after she smashed her racket, was given a point deduction, and then after arguing, calling the chair umpire a thief, was given an entire game. So Naomi Osaka, who by the way deserves all the credit in the world as a 20-year-old, beating her idol Serena Williams. This is who she grew up envying and just wanting to be. She beat her, but it's somewhat tarnished at this point, because she went up from, I believe it was 4-3 to 5-3, and then she just needed one more game. So give credit where credit is due, but what occurred was flat out awful, in my opinion.
So I have a follow-up question, because I don't play a lot of sports, but one sport that I did play a lot growing up is tennis. And so I am concerned about the future of tennis. Now that, for the first time, there is a high-profile tennis player who smashes rackets.
Because that never happens.
What is going to happen with tennis?
We got to build more sustainable rackets, obviously.
Obviously, the racket should bounce, I think.
Arguably the only penalty that maybe she possibly deserved. You could say that. It was the only one. I mean, but listen, first you do have the penalties, the sexism, and then the fines that happened afterwards. But then we wake up this morning, all of us, with this just undeniably racist depiction of the greatest athlete in the world.
Do you want an example of that?
Do you have it?
Why don't we bring up this cartoon from Mark Knight, editorial cartoonist for the Herald Sun in Melbourne.
I mean, come on.
And
it's racist. There's not only do you have this, but what you don't see is him depicting a black and Japanese woman as a white woman in the background.
Odd.
It's not odd, it's just racist.
And by the way, just in case it's not clear where this guy Mark Knight is coming from, if we could bring up this next one. This is another cartoon that he had done showing a politician with a entirely black-faced anonymous mob smashing things. So just to give you an idea where this person's coming from. And then also, we're not gonna show the videos, but Fox News, it's all been, she's a bad example for women. She's emotional, it's hysteria, it's a meltdown. Athletes get pissed off, and I was joking before, but obviously even inside of tennis, some of the best known tennis players ever, what they're known for is smashing rackets and screaming and stuff.
Not only that, what we remember, whenever you hear the name John McEnroe, you think of one thing, right? Yelling at chair umpires. He goes, "How can you see that?" Along with many other words that we can't say on the show. And yet it seems like a lot of the times he wasn't penalized. There was one time with the Australian Open, that was literally it. He maybe got a point here and there. I remember seeing in 2009 when Roger Federer took on Juan Martín Del Potro, who Del Potro lost in the final, the US Open. He won in 2009, lost on Sunday to Novak Djokovic. But in that match, Roger Federer, cool as a cucumber all the time, swore at the referee multiple times. You know what happened to him? Nothing. So there's a clear double standard here. It's super unfortunate. But what I did like was that an American tennis player like James Blake, who we remember for taking on Andre Agassi in the US Open, came out on Twitter and said, "I've said way worse." Andy Roddick came out, and real quick, Andy Roddick came out and also said, who got into vicious war of words with chair umpires and said that was the worst officiating he's ever seen.
This is also not the first time that we've had this example of why black people just have to be perfect at all times. You can't ever be frustrated as an athlete. We saw this same conversation happen after Cam Newton quietly got up and walked out after he lost the Super Bowl.
Great point.
The biggest game of his career. And this started a conversation online about how black women are treated in the workplace. And immediately, even if you're right, you have to know everywhere, to be timid about your responses, to keep quiet, to not take
scare
credit,
people.
to not scare people, because if you speak up for yourself, you are immediately given the angry black woman trope, which is what we're seeing, which is what we saw in that cartoon, which is what would happen on Fox News in their conversation about her and about her behavior and her emotions, that coded language, that she's angry. She's not, she's kind, and incredibly kind, because she's a woman who works her tail off, and an incredibly accomplished woman who set aside her own feelings and emotions because she knew that she was the only one in that entire space who could stop those boos.
Right.
She knew that, so she set aside her own emotions so that Osaka, this moment wouldn't be ruined, because the umpire did what he could to ruin this moment forever. Her first Grand Slam will be marred with this.
It's remembered for this.
Forever, absolutely.
Real quick, even to piggyback off of Brooke's point, let's be real about this. Tennis has been like an all-white sport for the longest time. And now that we're seeing black excellence, especially from a black woman who has been incredible, arguably the greatest athlete we've ever seen, I think there's been some blowback on that. And by the way, this same chair umpire penalized only Venus Williams for the same exact thing years ago. So
thank you for that context. Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notified of our new videos. And catch The Damage Report every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.